purpose of Freethought Forum is to be vigilant to the encroachment of religion into government and to educate the general public as to what a freethinker is.
My thoughts give me power.
No scholar can map them.
No hunter can trap them. No person can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei. No person can deny. Die Gedanken.
Hello and welcome to Freethought Forum. I'm Catherine Fahringer, the producer of this show. And I've been at this gig for 11 years now. We've tried to reach out to the community and find as many interesting and different people as we can to express new and different ideas. There isn't any subject we don't and aren't willing to discuss on our program, so give me a call. With me today is a friend, Paul DuBay, and he has a career as a coach, and I thought that would be very interesting to discuss. I thought a coach was for football or stuff like that, but it turns out welcome, Paul, and you can tell us more about coaching.
All right. Well, thank you, Catherine. Well, to the point, it's time that we change our thinking about the word coach, because a coach is not just for sports anymore, like you said. Mm-hmm. A professional, personal coach is someone you hire to dramatically enhance the quality of your life. From the most personal situation to the largest corporate enterprise, there is a coach for you. And for you. Likewise, my clients come from a variety of backgrounds. They include people that are in transition, facing challenges. I work with ADD adults and teens, meaning attention deficit disorder.
I have it.
Okay, there you go. A lot of people we wonder about, and also people dealing with various ecumenical issues. But the point is that there are very many different types of coaches. Clients specifically hire me because I take projects and help focus them to manageability, which thankfully reduces stress, saves time, and not only that, but then initiates and perpetuates the personal desire to improve and to achieve evolving success.
Well, it's sort of motivational.
In one sense, it is, most definitely. Now, to clarify right away, one of the things that we need to know about is, like I said, it is to dramatically enhance the quality of your life. So I like to ask the question, if I'm sitting here helping focus projects to manageability, reduce your stress, save time for you, and help you achieve evolving success, besides loved ones, who's doing that for you? Who's doing that for you?
Very good.
Thank you, and that's where it comes in. The thing that needs to be understood right away about coaching is that coaching is not counseling, and it's not therapy. There are many distinguishing factors. I'll try to keep them simple. A coach works with a person in their present, just the way they are right now, and we work to facilitate their future. It's not just setting goals and achieving them, because it's just not that simple.
I think it's like paperwork or something.
It could, exactly. And conversely, the clients that I deal with are relatively emotionally healthy. They just have some void in their life they want to get from A to B, and like a tennis coach can help somebody improve their backhand, I help people as well. The difference is I cannot swing the racket for somebody. They have to be willing and want to improve, and that's where I can come in. Whereas a counselor or a therapist, the kind of person, they're usually dealing with problems that stem from the past. Mm-hmm. And some of them are still very hands-on oriented, but there is that distinguishing factor that I deal with relatively emotionally healthy people, and we work, the motto is the present is perfect, and we work to facilitate the future.
Yeah, that's right, the here and now.
Exactly.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea. That's I think everybody could use a coach, as far as I can see from what you've said.
There you go. And when we talk about dramatically enhancing the quality of one's life, the joyful side is to know that there are many types of coaches out there. Right now, even in Texas, people hire a coach. Like I said, there are many different types. coaches for CEOs and executives. I mentioned people with attention deficit disorder, people who are in sales, people who are undergoing some kind of transition, and there are many kinds of transition, changing from jobs or increasing job satisfaction or just different personal changes in their life, to how to be more effective and efficient with the quality of your life. Even the gentleman in the sound room could, there's a coach for him, and for computer people. So we need to understand that there are as many coaches as there are beautifully diverse people out there. And that is one of the great joys of it. The coach does specialize in various areas, and I've listed a couple of mine, but there are so many of them out there.
How do pack rats stack up on your...
There we go. There's one of the interesting things about coaching, and it's Catherine's kind of giving us lead into the question I want to work with, because I'd like to give a kind of a sample session today so people can get an idea, well, what is this thing called coaching? What's it about? And see some of the types of issues that people are dealing with. When a person considers a coach, they usually have something on their mind. And I'll start with a general opening type question, and we'll just see how it goes from there. Case in point, and there's a battery of questions to ask, but here's a simple, good standard one. What would you like to have more or less of in your life?
I'd like to have less clutter.
Very good. Now Catherine's bringing up a very good point, because less clutter is one of the things that people like. They would like to have less stress on the job. They would like to have less clutter, or they would like to have more money, or they would like to have more time to do different things with their life. And that's where a coach can help facilitate this process. Now, and it's interesting because you mentioned clutter, and that is a very common theme. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, it's funny how people one day all of a sudden realize they're surrounded by a lot of stuff.
Oh, and it's very stressful. You said stress, but it is stressful. It is stressful.
And it's a project, though, that is manageable, just as it may have taken you years to bring to collect all this clutter. It takes time to get rid of it too, but it's organized. But I'm glad that you worked with clutter, because that's something that a lot of people can identify with, and quite frankly, for some people it's a painful issue to address. But since clutter is a common theme, let's play with that for a little bit for a few minutes here. And let me ask you, when you mention clutter, you're thinking of something in particular. How does this relate to you?
I'm thinking of paper.
You're thinking of paper. Paperwork in relation to what?
Everything. My Freethought activities, largely. It's all my Freethought magazines that I cannot bear to throw away. And it's just magazines in general. I'm terrible. I hate to throw away the New Yorker. It's so good, and it has such wonderful cartoons, but there's a limit. How many hundreds and hundreds of New Yorkers can you stash in your garage? Exactly. Before you're a fire hazard to the community.
There you go. And it's interesting to note that you said that this was in relation to your start with Freethought Forum, a project that you started, you said at the beginning of the show, 11 years ago. And you started with gathering information and forming a database. And right then it was manageable, but after 11 years of accumulating, it grows and what have you. And that's a common thing. And that's where, and a lot of people have a tendency to feel overwhelmed by that. Is that how it started for you?
Oh, yes. But it was getting to be hazardous. And I have papers everywhere and stacks of things everywhere. And I actually did break an arm and a leg one time because of clutter. So it can be done, and it's not a good thing to do. I highly advise anyone not to put themselves in that predicament. Cast time is bad time. So that was, I got the message, do something about it. But then it grows, as you say. You start out and you have a few papers, then you get more. And then, of course, if Paragon mails me anything, I keep it. I don't know why. I mean, they have a new one coming out next year. I don't need to hang on to 12 of them. And everything that comes in, any kind of piece of information that I think is useful, I will immediately say, I've got to save that. Now, I've got to cut down somewhere. It's just getting out of hand.
And that's a very interesting point to bring up, because a lot of people see that one day, all of a sudden, here's this clutter that has accumulated. But we're bringing up you're bringing up a very good point when you say, it started with the best of intentions, and you've got to have information, and in your position, you need to make information available. So now the question is, what information do you really need to have, and what can you get rid of? Because, as you said, you even slipped and fell and hurt yourself from being in clutter. And that, when you're looking for, well, where did I put that note? Where did I, oh my goodness, and I've got to get there in 15 minutes. All right, now we're already talking about you're wasting time looking for something, and your stress level is rising. And if you knew where everything was, those wouldn't be issues. And a coach can work on helping you eliminate what we call tolerations, and in that regard. So you've addressed how did it start. When you think about it, just the clutter and the situation, because you have every reason to feel good about your activism and how you've come along in the last 11, 12 years, but how do you feel when you think about the current situation with all this information, but some of it might be the surplus?
Yeah, yes. Where is it? And I waste a lot of time looking for things. And also, I've made a terrible mistake of letting my activism life invade and cross into my life with things like the IRS and stuff like that. So I go to look for a paper. It could be any one of many, many things. Right. And it's not safe to mix business with pleasure.
And it's often you bringing up another very good point. I've got this document with this friend's phone number on here, and I'm going to put it in a place so I don't forget it. And of course, 24 hours later, you can't remember where you put it, and that happens to us all. So we start with really good intentions, and it does add up. But what if you could? And that's the old proverbial "what if." But what if you could start eliminating all these little notes of pieces of paper? Would it reduce time spent running around? Would it make your home environment clutter-free, more physically safe, and then free you for other pursuits, if you will? And to many people, the answer to that would be yes. And so this way you would want to focus on, the idea of the benefits gained from eliminating in this case, a very common toleration, clutter, in your life. And now here's where a little bit of the coaching comes in the sense we start asking some really pretty difficult questions. First of all, what is it worth to you to change?
Oh, my health, my marriage. A few little things like that. Yes.
Sure.
So,
could you elaborate, please?
Elaborate. Oh, well, for the last, when this started to build up and it got to be piles of paper on the floor, my husband said, this pigsty, I'm going to have you some shelves built. And so he spent a lot of money and bought a whole bunch of, fancy shelves. Not fancy, they're just shelves. But it does cost money. Anything costs money these days. And he organized my back room. Now the only thing I have to do is the shelves are kind of empty. There's not very much sitting on them. Because everything is in boxes, and I feel I cannot throw away a whole box. I have to look in it. If I look in it, I sit there and I'm enchanted with all these old news clips and from 88 and look at that. Potatoes were 29 cents a 5-pound sack in 1988, if anybody wants to know. Call me, I will tell you. So it's just, I love old stuff anyway, and I love old news, new news, anything. And so that's it. I can't go through the boxes.
Very good. And you're bringing up a point of where a lot of people begin to experience frustration because they can start, yes, I want to get rid of this clutter, and I've got a coach, and I know where to jump right in, and you start with this box. I'm going to start with box A, because we don't want, you can't do a whole house in 5 minutes. I mean, the accumulation took time. It takes time to take care of the accumulation. But let's say you start with box A and you're working on it, and like all of a sudden you're seeing this great article, and there's, well, I'll save that here, and then this I'll discard. Normally you start in 3 things. 1, I want to definitely keep. 2, I'm going to throw away. 3, I don't know what to do with yet.
Yeah.
But then that I don't know what to do with yet starts to really go like this, and then you end up putting it all back in the box.
My whole house is I don't know what to do with it.
Well, you're not alone, and if people out there don't admit that they're not being honest, because a lot of people accumulate. But you're also bringing up a key factor is that you're finding a place to start, which is like my next question, because where would you start? And a person would start with just a small project and stay focused. One thing that helps people, and this may sound childish to some people, but it's very effective, and that is put on a timer for 20 minutes and then start on that box. And then see if you get through it, because then if you're getting sidetracked by articles, then the timer goes off and it brings, now I go back, and it helps you stay focused again on what you're doing. And that's just a minor little thing, but it's an effective little trick that will help you stay focused and manage that project to a workability that you want. And that is the main thing. And it's hard to pick a starting place. It really is.
Well, yeah, when it's as overwhelming as mine. But see, I got interested in so many different issues, you know, the abortion issue and the Boy Scouts and not taking in atheists and gays, and a million, child abuse, name it. I've got a file on practically everything, the church and taxes, name it, I've got it. Where is it? I can't tell you, but...
Very good. That's an interesting point, because then you get into, well, how can I save time and make sure that I do find these things? And one of the things that I would do as a coach would be to ask you a simple question then, like, again, where could you begin? What's a good place to start? And I remember one time we were talking about this, and out of the clear blue you said, my magazines.
Yeah.
And you made a decisive effort, and I know that you followed up with that and had some success with that. And that's an important thing that people understand, whatever task that it is that you're undertaking, that we don't, again, don't get overwhelmed with doing it all, but just start where you can. And if it's starting with 10 minutes a day or 5 minutes on the weekend or whatever the case may be, you pick a point that's doable. Don't set some unrealistic goal that you can't achieve, because you're just going to be disappointed and more frustrated, and that's not the goal of hiring a coach or to strive for success in your life. You're wanting to experience success, and it does come incrementally. But the beautiful thing is, once you get started on it, once you start clearing out the magazines, then it's kind of like you have the snowball effect. It just continues to evolve from there, and after a while it just becomes a habit, and you are more comfortable with reducing the clutter in your life.
Well, you kind of pat yourself on the back when you get one chore out of the way and say, I can handle this. I can handle this. Oh, I don't know that I can without your help. But
Right. There you go.
Made a start.
That's a start, and that is a very good start. And that's I think for the many people, just the idea of creating action and picking a starting point. You don't even know if it's the right one. Who knows?
Yeah.
But you have to start somewhere. But by creating action, you're creating also a series of thought processes that begin getting you to a point where, yes, you do feel success and you do feel good. And I have had one client in particular who shared the same issue as clutter, took care of his situation. I won't get too specific except to say, the next time people were in this environment that she had addressed, they were going like, my goodness, what have you done? This is just beautiful. And I mean, she was just, puffed up and feeling great all day. And that goes back to what I said earlier today about initiating and perpetuating the desire to improve and achieving evolving success. That is such a wonderful feeling, because it carries over into so many other aspects of your life, not just with clutter, but with your relationships with other people,
like my husband.
and with your husband, and with work, and the people that you associate with, and just your free spirit. You're more inclined to laugh in the grocery line and have a little bit of fun rather than sit there, and come on, when are we going to hurry up and get out of here kind of thing. And so in one sense, it is an attitudinal perspective as well. But to bring the coaching session to kind of more to a close here, many coaches will ask this type of question, and to me this is a priceless gem of a question. And as I'm asking it to you, I'm also asking it to you you people in the studio audience, because the question is simply this: what are you willing to commit to? That's a very good question. And before you answer it, I'm not giving you a chance to answer that. And the reason that you asked that question, and the reason I call it a priceless gem, is because when I was first asked that question, because I too have a coach, I said, okay, I'll do this. And then I got thinking about it. And I was kind of like, well, that's really kind of a letdown question. And then I finished the conversation with a friend, and about an hour later, all of a sudden, neurons started firing. I started making notes, and things started coming together. And within 1 hour, I had set up a week plan that I was able to address a variety of tasks. And I contacted that person back and said, hey, you know that question about what will I commit to? And I told you, A, well, I have added B, C, D, E, F, and G. And I did follow through, and it has had that continual effect. And so that's why I ask, and then going back in terms of addressing the clutter, what are you willing to commit to?
Moving.
Moving.
No, I really don't know, but I've got to do something. I've just got to do something. It's
well, you've already admitted
to. Now, what will I commit to? Time.
Time. Because you've already committed to a starting point with the magazine.
I'm proud of that, you know, pat away.
As well you should.
But I keep wondering, I guess I'll have to have reinforcements along the way, right? And that's what coaching is all about.
The coach is a support success partner.
But for a freebie, I got quite a bit out of it. Paul and I were discussing the program a little bit beforehand, and this was several days ago, and it had surprising results. And that's, I told you, dumping a pile of phone books and the recycled place and the magazines. I did. I got rid of hundreds of New Yorkers. Pained me deeply, but I didn't even open one of them. I just dumped. So I guess if I can commit that far, maybe I can commit myself to those 29 cents for a 5-pound bag of potatoes.
There you go. There you go. And I thank you for your answer, because you're really showing everybody a very good place to start and how to do it. And then more ideas will come later. And it brings into the focus the realm of the coach, because as Catherine's clearly articulating here, I cannot do these things for her. It's something that she has to do herself, like I said. But that makes sense in sports too. The tennis coach can help the tennis person, but he can't swing the racket for them. They've got to do it themselves. And so in the same way, you have done that. And I think that you're really onto something here, that maybe I started it, but I think that's what people want and hope to have from a coach. They're willing to work. They have to be willing. But if they come with that willingness, the possibilities are as endless and, again, as beautifully diverse as each of us. Okay.
Well, I don't know that I was so willing. It just sort of happened, you know. It took about 3 days, and like you, with your friend, and what he said, what are you willing to commit to? And I remember you asking me what some of my biggest problems were, and I said, magazines. I didn't know I was addicted to phone books, too, but they're so heavy, you know. You sort of push them in a corner, and years go by, and oh, my gosh, it was awful. So I just churned around with these things, and then I started taking action. It was really quite astounding. As I say, I didn't even have a whole session. So I can hardly wait to try the whole thing
There you go.
and see what comes of that.
All right. Well, thank you, Catherine. And you see, again, you're bringing up a very good point, because that's what a lot of people experience when they do hire a coach. They find that they're achieving successes in things that they didn't realize, or they're eliminating things that they were tolerating in the past, and they didn't even realize it. And all of a sudden, they're freer, they feel better, and again, they're achieving that evolving success that we're shooting for. And with that said, I'd like to ask you, this is one kind of a concluding question for our little coach session here, and that is, what did you get from this session? What did you come away with?
What, the one I had with you for the little preview?
Yes, either then or today.
Oh, or today. Oh, well, maybe I'm re-inspired today, so I might go home and throw out something else. Who knows? But not my ad for the 29-cent potatoes.
Save the ad. There you go. Prioritization.
Nobody would believe that.
No,
Nobody.
No, there you go.
No, I just think it's nice to have your momentum sort of reinforced here. So, as I say, I'll be calling on you probably.
Okay, well, thank you. And you know my number, and it's there for you.
Yep.
It's definitely there for you. And I think that's probably a good place to end, because when you say, what did you get from the session, you think about it, it's kind of like the question, well, what would you commit to? You come away with wondering, the idea is will continue to grow. It's not just done when the camera closes or shuts off here.
I don't know about me as far as, I get these little spurts. I've had several in my life without a coach.
There you go.
But when you consider the length of my life and several, you see that's how I became a clutterer. Now, the nice thing about pre-clutter days was my husband was in the Air Force. So we had to move a lot, and they don't pay for moving all that stuff. If it gets overweight, too bad. And so you were forced to clear out. You
had to be efficient and effective.
And then too, without having a kind of permanent home, I never was really involved. I didn't have time to get involved in community activities. It was more the circle within the larger circle, Air Force and its business and stuff and parties and so on. And so it was, I've loved it since I've been here and have a home, but what I've done to that home is just disgraceful.
Well, and I think everyone feels that to one degree or another. They're always sprucing up the last minute before guests come over and that kind of thing. But when we take a look deeper at our lives and the things that we put up with and really just don't need, if we can eliminate some of those things, it just frees us up for more, for other things in life.
Well, of course, I've made you talk about clutter because that's my problem and that's the thing I want the motivation for dealing with. But are there any other people or clients or whatever that have other problems? I mean, other areas? All I can think of is clutter. I'm a one-track mind person. The ADD. Now, how about that?
Sure. I address that. First of all, I always like to refer to them as challenges, and they. With ADD people, here's the situation I found myself in, is that with adults, a lot of adults are just now becoming diagnosed with ADD and attention deficit disorder, and they weren't aware. So all their life they've been manifesting these behaviors, and I don't change behaviors because, like I said earlier, the present is perfect. What we do is just try to take the person where they're at and help them gain better focus. Focus. I saw a bumper sticker the other day and it said it so nicely. Focus and simplify. And that's kind of what you do with them. And then regrettably, that's a gross oversimplification of what I do with the ADD person because there's a lot of issues involved there. But it's management. You strategize. You find that there's different tools and strategies that you can use. I have what I call a toolbox that I use of different strategies to help people focus, get organized, and help them work on the projects that are of importance to them. And like I said, it's and I work about what they're strong at. I don't worry about all the little petty weaknesses because those get worked out when you take care of a lot of the strengths too. So that's again one of the joys of coaching. So thank you for bringing that up.
Feedback from the people that you work with?
Yes. Thank you for asking. First of all, before I even take on a client, we have a session where I want to get to know them because maybe I'm not the coach that they should have. Maybe they're coachable and maybe they need a coach, but I'm not that one.
Maybe they need a shrink.
There you go. Who knows?
I need that too.
There you go. So what I do is, as I talk with them, and if I can see that there's the grounds for the working relationship, then we can proceed. If not, I will refer them to somebody else, and that's my work. Yes,
you can't get better than that.
No,
that's really good. Because where your limits come in.
Exactly. Not only my limits, but that I continue. That's part of my service. That I'm going to help somebody else. I'm not worried about my own paycheck. I want to get you taken care of.
That's it.
And that kindness comes back at you. So I don't have any problems with that. But once I do find someone who likes to work with me, it usually takes a few weeks. I like to schedule no less than 3 months with somebody because growth takes time. It's that simple. Yeah. And what I do is I just work with them, and usually by about the 3rd week, they're saying, hey, it's clicking. I'm in the group. It makes sense. It takes
a while to kind of process the whole thing.
It sure does.
Now, is there anything, we've got 1 minute or a little less left. Is there any parting word or?
The only final thing that I would just like to say, I say to you, Catherine, and I say to the people watching us today, that please do understand that there is a coach out there for everybody. And I just hope you find the coach that you're looking for. And thank you for your time.
Well, and I hope that everybody finds that coach too, because I'm willing to say I think this sort of thing works. And if a hardcore trash saver, clutterer can do it. Anybody can. So goodbye from Freethought Forum. Hope you'll tune in again.
I think as I please, and this gives me pleasure.
My conscience decrees, this right I must treasure.
My thoughts will not cater
To duke or dictator, no person can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei, no person can deny. Die Gedanken sind